Earlier this week, when I came back from California, I did a Force of the Breaker Special Edition opening. I mentioned in that video that I went to the Core TCG locals in California, and it was super exciting. They had tons of older products, and I wanted to buy as much as I could, but I obviously was sort of limited on space because I had to fit stuff in my suitcase. The other item I bought besides those 4th edition Special Editions were these Twilight Edition Light and Darks, and this is a very interesting product for many reasons. You don't really see stuff like this anymore. It's a special edition that isn't exactly a special edition. You'll see that it doesn't technically say that anywhere. It's a Twilight Edition Light and Dark, and that sort of implies that there's going to be more versions of the Twilight Edition. That never actually happened. And what's also interesting is that it only has one promo card instead of 2 like most special editions, and it has 3 different packs in here, and it's based on the Twilight deck of 2008 through 2012-ish. Now this product came out in 2010, and this was the first reprint of Honest, which comes in ultra rare, and overall it's just a very cool product, and I really wanted to open one. I remember opening these as a kid, mainly because, I mean, when you think of special editions from a budget player standpoint, what you're really looking for is good promo cards, and even though this one only had one single promo card, it is a very good promo card, and I still have those ultra rare Honest to this day. You might have seen me use it in a couple of profiles. What's also interesting about the Twilight Edition is that it's a product that's named after an unofficial term for a Yu-Gi-Oh deck that fans used. And why that's interesting is because many times Konami actually doesn't acknowledge the fan names for decks. I'm not talking about like the OCG translations that we get initially. I'm talking about like in the case of Plant Synchro, which was an extremely popular deck, on all official Konami articles and website stuff like that, they call it Synchro-centric, which is a very strange word. They don't call it Plant Synchro. So in the case of the Twilight Edition, it is based off, I mean, obviously Twilight is a real word, but it's based off of the Twilight deck from the time that Lightsworns came out and Phantom Darkness came out, which is why these 2 packs are in here. But it's basically, I mean, it's a broad term used for a Lightsworn deck that has some dark monsters in there to use chaos monsters. It's not quite chaos because it does use a lot of Lightsworn monsters. This word stopped being used around the time of the Chaos Dragon structure deck when it just became Lightsworn Chaos. But anyway, that's sort of the history of the Twilight Edition and where it comes from. Let's take a look. Oh, what's also interesting before we open this one last thing, there are actual Twilight Monsters nowadays. They came out in Code of the Duelist. They had sort of dark retrains of the Lightsworns, and it's interesting to see that 10 years prior, Konami kind of predicted that happening, or sort of maybe it was just an accidental thing, but it's still pretty crazy to think about. Okay, that was not easy at all to get it out of the plastic. That was actually super annoying. Anyway, so these are the Twilight Editions. We'll just jump right into them now. We know the history. And like I said, we don't really see products like this anymore. It's almost like a mega pack. It's almost like a legendary collection. Not quite, obviously, because it has real packs in here. It almost reminds me of Legendary Collection 1. You can see here, though, we have that beautiful ultra rare Honest. We don't really see a lot of ultra rares in the special editions anymore. They're almost all just super rares. And yeah, this was, like I said, it was the first reprint of Honest, obviously only printed as a secret and a ghost from Light of Destruction because it's the cover card. And we don't really see that kind of stuff anymore. In terms of nowadays, I mean, I've talked about it before, but cover cards tend to not be the greatest cards in sets. It seems like with the Link Summoning and Link Reigns packs, those ones have pretty good cover cards, things like Firewall Dragon and Borrelord Dragon and Boral Sword Dragon, but there was a very long time where between 5Ds and Reigns, where cover cards were just complete garbage competitively. I think mostly in the Pendulum format, we just had so many terrible cover cards. Anyway, so you got 2 copies of Honest, which back then would have been very, very cool, and we'll start with the Tactical Evolution packs just because I think I mean, just in competitiveness, the Tactical Evolution pack is probably the least competitive. Kind of go through here. Now, could you actually build a Twilight deck off these packs? Probably not, but maybe. maybe. Next, Venom Snake, Shadow Delver, pretty bad Gemini card. Chrysalis Pantel, Spell Reclamation. And Doom Shaman. Nice super rare. And I should mention, I keep mentioning these older pack openings. You are not guaranteed any hollows in any of these packs. It looks like these ones are new enough to where you still pull, well, I guess it was because it's printed in 2010, but you get a rare and the holographic card, where with the old things that we opened with Force to Breakthrough, you did not actually get that. But you're not guaranteed hollows, so it's really cool pulling anything out of these packs. Doom Shaman is actually a pretty cool card. Good revival. It's never saw as much play as Gigaplant, but it's still pretty neat. This is actually a pretty funny combo with Brilliant Fusion using Doom Shaman that I played a while ago. Anyway, Volcanic Rat, Chrysalis Penny, Hero Counterattack, Convert Contact, Thousand Eyes Jellyfish, Strike Slash, which has that alien monster on there, King Pyron, one of, if not the worst Gemini monsters out there. Not that the Gemini monsters are very good, but it's a level 5 monster that just has the effect to inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Oh my gosh, this card is bad. Easily one of the worst Gemini monsters ever printed. Flintlock and Dawnbreak Gardno, which is just... oh my gosh, these Gemini monsters, they are slacking. Let me just say that. Moving forward, well, let's go with Fan Darkness, actually. Obviously, it'd be cool to pull any holos, but the dark holographic cards would be particularly interesting. Oh, we got a banned card. Samsara Lotus. Card that was used in many combos, but never really saw competitive play. Up until very recently, right before it got banned, it like topped like a regional and ARG, but not even really that competitive. It just is one of those cards that's only ever used for degenerate loops, so Konami got rid of it. Gladiator Beast Andal. Obsidian Dragon. Cool looking card. Cybernetic Zone. Future Samurai. Once per turn, you can remove and play one monster in your graveyard, which is a turn-based monster. Pretty good effect. It wouldn't even be that overpowered, but it's stuck on a Gemini, so it's really bad. And then we have, oh, nice, another holographic card. Zoma the Spirit, a trap monster that I used to play in those old trap monster decks. Actually, not super long ago. Trap monsters saw a couple of regional tops very recently. Well, not super recently. A couple of years ago. And Zoma the Spirit was part of that because it can do a lot of damage to opponents. Dark Crusader, which I always thought looked cool. Win Effigy, which they believe this is a card where they had to literally print a card just to summon it. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but there actually aren't any 2-tribute win normal monsters in the game, at least to my knowledge, but they had to print an effect monster that was treated as a normal monster in the hand just to make this card work. Very weird oversight. And Cannon Soldier MK2, whenever anyone brings up just ban Cannon Soldier from Firewall, or instead of the Firewall thing. The problem is there's so many other cards that do what Cannon Soldier does. There's obviously Toon Cannon Soldier MK2, which is a little harder to pull off, but still possible. Amazoness Archer, Shadow Priestess of Ohm. Oddly enough, Shadow Priestess of Ohm, I believe, is also in this pack, which is kind of funny. So we have 2 different burn looping cards from the same set. Maybe Shadow Priestess was a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure it's from that set, though. We can see what we find out. We got Vengeful Shinobi. When this attack position card is selected as an attack target, draw 1 card. Pretty bad. Worse than Decoy Dragon. Blue Thunder T45. Oh man, I love this card. The whole spaceship. I don't know if it's technically an archetype. I guess maybe now it is. None of the cards say, well, a couple of them say, I don't know. But the whole spaceship like series of cards is very cool. Actually did see YCS play. I'm a huge fan. This card's really good in Battle Pack 2 as well. Or Battle Pack 1, whichever Battle Pack it was in. Not in 3, unfortunately. Back Veloci. Another Samsara Lotus. Deep Sea Macro Trema. Cyber Ouroboros. Imprisoned Queen Archfiend. Broken. Unleash Your Power, which is, oh my gosh, this card's so bad. All Gemini monsters that were into that field when this card was activated are treated as effect monsters and gain their effects during the end phase of this turn. Set all monsters. It's basically just a worse double summon, but that can technically be better because it can get a lot of stuff, but it's basically just worth double summon. All out attacks. Got some cool artwork of the gadget monsters. Okay, down to the last 2 packs of 2 Light of Destruction. Can we pull an honest? Probably, but maybe. Honestly, pulling 2 holos is pretty crazy, as is, even if they're not the best holos. But they are playable holos, which is more than I can say for a lot of these older cards. D Fortune, Raging Cloudian, Arcana Force Zero the Fool, one of the most annoying defensive cards of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Or sort of mid-school Yu-Gi-Oh! Just really, really, really frustrating. Cloudian Storm Dragon, really awesome support card. Owner's Seal, which saw, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Kaijus were first announced, when they first came out, this card was really, really hyped. I'm not sure, like the main combo here is you Kaiju your opponent's monster, activate Owner's Seal, get it back. That's a really bad combo, didn't see a lot of play, but people really hyped it up. Summon Limit, wow. That's actually a really good card. This is a card that if I would have played Altergeist at the last YCS in Pasadena, I would have played this card. Reason being, so this card says new player can summon more than 2 times per turn. Now the cool thing about this card is that if you activate it after your opponent has summoned 2 times in 1 turn, they just are cut off from summons. They don't get 2 more summons. It keeps track of the ones that happen before it's activated, which is very nice. I like this card a lot. Very cool. Realm of Light. Arcane Force 1, the Magician. And Gladiator Lash. Man, yeah, Summon Limit's actually a really cool side deck. I could see him play in a variety of Altergeist side decks. Okay, and then the last pack here, we have Hero Mask, Elemental Hero Avian on that mask, Dice Try, Arcana Call, Jinzo Returner. To this card can attack one directly when this card is sent to the graveyard. You can special summon one Jinzo from your graveyard to strain your end phase. Man, there's an old combo with Future Fusion in this card. And then last, oh my gosh, we got a Solar Recharge. This would have been a really good pull back in the day. Not like, man, I don't even know how much Solar Recharges were. I just remember this was one of the more expensive cards in the Lightsworn strategy. Lightsworns back in the day were an incredibly expensive deck. Kind of remind me of Thunder Dragons right now, where maybe the cards don't individually seem that expensive, except for the secret rares, but all the ultra rares sort of add up over time. And you look at these old school packs, the ultra rares are almost always worth $10 to $15, especially stuff like Solar Recharge that was actually playable. Very good card though. Discard one Lightsworn monster, draw 2 cards, then send the top 2 cards back to the graveyard. This card saw play very recently, but it's the problem with this card, I think, nowadays, in many of like the zombie Lightsworn decks, is that many of them don't really want to have a lot of Lightsworns in the deck. They just play like Raiden and Wolf sometimes, just to add with Charge of the Light Brigade. They don't seem to want Solar Recharge, because problem with this card in 2018 is that if you don't play a lot of Lightsworns, you can end up in a position where you just have this card without any Lightsworns, or you have bad Lightsworns without Solar Recharge. But it's still a pretty powerful draw card. Wetlands, which is pretty funny in Duel Links. Miracle Flipper, Deformation, and Jane, Lightsworn Paladin. Very nice. Man, that was actually 3 hollows, 50% hollow pull, which is actually pretty crazy. So we have Solar Recharge, which is an Ultra, Zoma the Spirit, and Doom Shaman. All playable holographic cards. Very cool. And when you count the Honest, you can see how this would have been a very good purchase back in 2010 for someone that was on a budget. I would have probably put that Solar Recharge right into my all-common Lightsworn deck using cards like Jane and the Dragon of Lightsworn. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's pack opening video. We're not a pack opening channel, but we do occasionally have pack opening videos, and this was one of them I really was excited to do, because this Twilight Edition was one of my favorite older special edition type things, because the Honest reprint was so good for budget players, which I was back in 2010 because I was just in high school. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.